Can you please stand? Mr. Murillo has just recently retired from the city of San Juan, and we want to go ahead and present him with a proclamation from the commission and, of course, all the residents for the years of work that you have provided us. And it goes like this. This is a proclamation for Leopoldo Murillo. It says, on June 13th, 2014, after 34 years of dedicated service, Mr. Leopoldo Murillo retired from the city of San Juan. And Mr. Leopoldo Murillo was employed with the city on March 25th of 1980 as a laborer with the sanitation department, and he received a job title of change to truck driver from 84 to 2006. And in November of 2006, Mr. Murillo was promoted to heavy equipment operator up until retirement. Mr. Murillo is a loving husband to Jesusita Murillo, and they have 2 sons and 1 daughter, Leopoldo Murillo Jr., Juan Murillo, and Lucille Murillo, along with 5 grandchildren. The leadership of our city will miss the active participation you provided our community, our city, Mr. Murillo, in a day-to-day operations. You also your dedicated interest and devotion to duty has had a valuable effect to the efficiency and morale of all your co-workers, and we wish to extend to you our sincere appreciation for this outstanding performance of duty. And through all your various endeavors, you have won the highest regards from all the associates and the admiration of the citizens throughout the community. So therefore, the city of San Juan wishes for a long and happy and a productive retirement for you. And now therefore, be it resolved that I, the Mayor, San Juanita Sanchez, by the power vested in me as Mayor of the city of San Juan, along with Mayor Pro Tem Armando Garza Jr., Commissioners Mario Garza, Jesse Ramirez, and Heriberto Suarez, hereby issue this proclamation to you today, August 26, 2014.
Y'all need to tighten up a little bit, please. Tighten up a little bit. If not, we'll send it to you.
That is a lot of years. Thank you very much. Especially to the family who allowed him to be a part of our family for so many years. Moving on to item C, under project update by Ronnie Cruz on the following matters: the water treatment plant number 2, the 2014 street reconstruction project, construction of the water and sanitary sewer lines along the north side of the expressway 83, lowering of the canal crossings and road widening Eldora, Sergeant Trevino, and Sioux Road, 3.5 million gallon water treatment plant number 2, and the EDAP project. Mr. Cruz.
Mayor and Commissioners, in your packet, there's a memo with a schedule, with the projects. The first one is the transfer line. It's almost complete. That's the one that's been from one plant to the other plant. And they're just testing the line. So basically, hopefully within 30 days, everything will be complete and we'll close out that project. Any questions on that project? The second one is the street reconstruction. I listed all the streets that have been paved and the ones that are pending. If you look at the first 10, they're all completed. The last two on the original contract is Iowa and Chaparral, and they're working on there right now. They'll be paving Chaparral probably this early next week. Then by the end of next week, they'll be done with that part. Then they've done change order number 1, which is Buffalo and Mesquite. Then we'll go to change order number 2 and finish up this project.
Are we doing Iowa? You said the paving of Iowa will be from 83
Expressway 83 to
to
First Street.
First Street, okay.
Yes. And the contractor has 150 days to complete the project with the change orders, and we're at exactly 100 days as of Friday, the 22nd. So there's plenty of time on that project. Any questions on that one? The next one is the construction of the water and sanitary sewers north side of the expressway. This project is to consist of looping the 12-inch water line from the expressway, from Expressway 83 to Sergeant Trevino Road, from the city park around Sergeant Trevino from the Mercedes-Benz project, go east to the future Retama Street, go north to the expressway, then go along the expressway west to the area where we left off again with the Mercedes-Benz project. That will loop a 12-inch water line all the way in that area. And then the second part is extending the 8-inch sewer line along the frontage road of the expressway west from the future Retama, which will include all those projects, all those properties on the north side from the, I think it's a tile place. No, just up to the future Retama. Phase 2 will be the other side, which is the big section from Retama to Cesar Chavez. There's already sewer in that area. We'll just need to do the water. And then this will complete the area of the buyout that the city, and at this time, actually, all the water meters are still hooked on to North Alamo meters. So when this is completed, I think we're transferring 12 water meters to the city when this is complete. I think that's what it is. Any questions on this problem? We're ready now because we already got all the easements. All of them have been signed. We just like to we've met with Javier and myself, we've met with several of the owners explaining the project and what the impact is going to be, because it's going to impact the nursery and the car lot, because everything's in there. We already have an easement, so everything's in that easement that belongs to the city. But we don't, we need to tell them to see if they can move. They have some big trees planted in there. But we're going to try to get together with the owners one time, all of them, and this is when it's going to start, this is what's going to happen, and the impact, not to their businesses, but what's going to happen in front. The next one is the lowering of the canal crossings. Of course, Eldora's been complete. Sergeant Trevino is still pending. AT&T has begun to relocate their lines. So I have not gotten a schedule from AT&T when they will actually be completed, but they are working on it. I see holes and I see people running back and forth, but the lines are still there. So as soon as they're done, we're ready to go on that project, which goes to number 5, because they bid out, Half and Associates went out for bids on the Sioux Road, and they've opened the bids, and I know that they had 4 or 5 contractors, and they have a low bid, which is the same one that we have over here in this project. But the reason I didn't put anything here, because it's not official. They haven't tallied them up or added up or make adjustments or whatever, so I didn't want to, until they do it, we'll look at that. but it is the same contract.
Now, Ronnie, on that sewer crossing, how are we right now with the irrigation district as far as, or will they be holding us up as you warned might happen?
I spoke with Sonny just the other day, and he said, we'll work with you. So,
So as soon as we accept bids
that's what we're,
and contractor, we can,
hopefully, that's what we can do, and then we can maybe do them both at the same time. Sue and Sergeant Trevino. The difference between those two is that in Sioux Road, there is an alternate line, a 42-inch, so they convert water, and Sergeant Trevino, there's not. Once they cut the canal, it all cuts. So those are the two differences.
And as soon as you determine that, you'll let the schools know.
Yes, they'll be the first ones to, but we gotta keep doing it because not this project is just never gonna get done.
Right.
But the-
Let them know with enough time that
Oh,
they can
yes.
tell the bus drivers.
Yes.
Maybe send notice.
Yeah, we'll go with the police also, and ambulance and all that, because the streets will be closed, so they'll need to know.
Closing two. They only connect those two areas with the Tama, right? Or not
To the
even
north,
to the north?
yes. Sergeant Trevino.
Not Sioux.
Not Sioux.
Not Sioux, that's right.
so on sewer, we'll have to go to Tama North, we'll go all the way out
To Cesar.
Chavez to go south.
Or the other way, there's two roads that go north and south, but they're residential. But they can go back around. But it'll be a nice project. It's like Eldora. It'll be good. Any questions on those? Any more questions? The next one is the water treatment plant expansion. The bid was awarded to Descon for $8.343 million in May. We've issued the notice to proceed, which was dated July 14th, 2014. The contractor has begun to mobilize in the area. They'll have 600 calendar days for substantial completion and 660 calendar days for final completion. They've already started moving fences and things out there, but they haven't got going completely
Those
yet.
portables are their offices?
Yes. And they put an entrance on Sioux Road. I don't know if you noticed, they cut the fence and actually put another gate. So they'll be using Sioux Road instead of I Road with their equipment, which is probably better to get it off the traffic.
And for
For my-
security purposes?
They have to
What
lock
do they
it. They'll lock it. It's secured with a fence, but it's up to them, but they need to keep it secure.
Can you just check with them?
Yes.
And-
Well, it has to be.
Well, I understand, but will they, they come in, then they close it and they lock it every time they come in and out? Is it gonna be
Oh,
open during the
no.
operating time or what?
Probably 8 to 5, no. It's basically the way the plant is right now, but at night they lock it. And of course, you gotta secure the water treatment plant. So we'll work with it. That's a good idea. We'll see how they're gonna
Talk
do
to them
this.
how they're gonna take care of that.
Okay, and the EDAP is the next project, and I included a schedule because it's if you look at, we're basically over there on item 5, we're in A and B categories, which we're doing right now. And F, the environmental report has been completed. It will be sent to City Hall pretty soon. You gotta post it for 30 days, and we get comments. And then we'll go to category C and D and E if we need it. And of course, the design is category G, which by November, hopefully, we can start the design. We already did. I mean, we already started the surveys and things like that anyway. And
So the application for you said will be in towards the end of mid to 2015 for approval, item number 8. Should everything go well, then they would have a say-so for us by then. And then what is our match estimated?
This was, is it 60/40 on this one? I'm not,
It wasn't 50/50?
was it? I don't remember this, what the match was.
But I'm saying, what would the dollar amount be
It's 1.2 million total.
total?
And those are the projects, if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Ronnie, could you, and I'm curious, the subdivision that we annexed gonna have to check in with you on that? Solimar?
Oh, yes. What do you mean checking?
Like, are they gonna have to, get clearance
Yes.
or
Well,
oversight?
Once, oh yeah, we'll have a pre-con. It's like a new subdivision. We'll have a pre-construction meeting.
When that happens, I'd like to maybe just see how it's coming along.
They're still, I guess, waiting for funds, I guess. I don't know where they're at, but, yeah, they'll have to come through the city for everything. The other project that is not on this list is the other transfer line, which is gonna be out for bids next Thursday. We're gonna open them up this week, but we extended it to September 4th. That project needs to be done. That's the one with raw water from one reservoir to the other reservoir, and it looks like this drought situation is getting worse, not better. And I know the irrigation district did have a canal. They had a pipe break on the pipe that's feeding your plant. And basically, if what feeds the plant directly, when your reservoir's not working, is a line all the way from Second Street to McAllen, straight to the plant. That's how long it is. So anywhere in there, if something happens, you're out of water. And it did break about 2 weeks ago. Now, it was an overnight thing, but if it goes a week and your reservoir is out, this line needs to be put in.
Put in the agenda then? We'll put it in the next agenda for any further discussion.
Yeah, we'll have the bids opening by that time, hopefully.
Under number 6, public hearing ordinance, A, hold a first public hearing on adopting the proposed tax rate and levy for the city of San Juan, Texas for fiscal year beginning October the 1st, 2014, and ending September 30th, 2015. I'd like to open this at 6:21. Mr. Gomez.
Yes, ma'am. I just want, good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. And basically, I just want to follow up on the previous meeting that we had on August the 12th, where the City Commission voted and approved the proposed tax rate of .6993 for the fiscal year. And according to property law, whenever the proposed rate is higher than the rollback rate or the effective rate, 2 public hearings needs to be conducted. And after the public hearings, we'll have the ordinance officially adopting the rate on the next City Commission meetings. And so our recommendation is to hold public hearing meetings for the next fiscal year, beginning on October 1st, 2014, ending on September 30, 2015.
Go ahead and give me those rates again so that the folks know what you're talking about. The proposed rate is .699,
Yes, our proposed rate is .6993.
effective?
Effective, that will be on October 1st, 2014, and will last until September 30th, 2015. Okay.
Our previous tax rate?
And our previous tax rate was .7386, so it was lowered to .6993.
What is the actual? There's another rate.
Right, the effective rate is .6476.
I'd like to open it up to the members of the public. Are there any comments regarding the proposal the proposal by the commission and also as recommended by staff of the .693 tax rate? Any members of the community that wish to say something? I did call the time at 6:21. Anybody from the community? Are there any comments from anyone in the commission? If not, I'd like to go ahead and close this public hearing at 6:23. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Item B, a public hearing and consider ordinance for the rezoning request from a single-family residence district to neighborhood commercial district for the property legally described as Lot 10 Layman subdivision located at 706 Alameda Street as requested by Veronica Gutierrez. I'd like to open this public hearing at 6:24.
City Commission, good evening. Ms. Gutierrez is proposing to rezone her parents' property from single-family residence district to neighborhood commercial district, which will allow them to sell the property with commercial zoning. The predominant land use and zoning to the north of Alameda Street is commercial. The corridor is considered in transition with a commercial plaza developing recently along the south side of the street. The proposed zoning in the area is consistent with the City of San Juan's land use principles and will allow a small business in the property. Any new businesses there will need to comply with the city's parking and landscaping ordinances. A public hearing was held on this request by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 7, 2014. A few owners spoke during the public hearing, but were generally supportive of the applicant's request. During their August 7 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning request with a 6-0 vote.
Are there any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the commission? Mr. Cervantes, in reading the minutes from the meeting with the planning and zoning, it talks about it being a service type of business?
Yes.
Do we know what it would be, and would that affect the amount of?
It could be an office, it could be a beauty salon, it could be a barber shop. There's a list of possible businesses.
Does the parking change depending what it is?
Yes.
Okay, and if you were to determine parking, would you be able to tell them you cannot have this kind of business because of the parking?
Exactly.
So if we're just doing the zoning right now, you'll
Just-
make sure that you would tell them ahead of time if they're wanting to make it whatever it is that falls under there, that if for some reason they don't meet that requirement, because I know in some businesses, they've had trouble with the parking.
Yeah, and we have people coming in to the office all the time that they're looking at properties to purchase for a business. So we tell them what the requirements are, and they decide if they want to go forward. That's a normal thing for prospective buyers to do, is to check with us on the requirements. Sometimes people purchase without checking with us, and that's when we run into problems sometimes. But most people do check with us before they buy, especially for commercial property.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Within 200 feet.
How do you go about measuring the 200 feet? Is it like measured from the exterior of the property or the center of the?
No, it's from the edge of the property,
Okay.
200 feet to the north, 200 feet to the east, to the south, to the west. So it's from all edges, 200 feet.
Are they going to have to, a fence?
Yeah, like if
To
a
the next
business,
property?
if a business comes in, then they will be required to put a buffer to the residential property to the east. That will be a requirement at the time of development. Any commercial development next to residential, we require a 6-foot buffer fence.
I'll go ahead and close it at 6:27. Item D, hold a public hearing and consider ordinance for a special use permit for the sale and on-premise.
I need a vote.
Did we vote on the other one?
There was
Okay.
no vote.
Let me back up and go to B. And I was just thinking that, did we do it? There's no vote on A. That's just open for a public hearing.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and entertain a motion for item B as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, is there a motion for approval as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Under item C, I'm going to open that at 6:28. Go ahead.
Yes, Ms. Ramos is applying for a public hearing and consider ordinance for a conditional use permit for a home occupation, which is a seamstress and boutique in a single-family residence district described as lots 14 and 216, Block 51, San Juan Original Townsite Subdivision, located at 921 South Nebraska Avenue, as requested by Lorena Ramos. Ms. Ramos is applying for a conditional use permit for a home occupation to operate a seamstress and boutique business at her home. The applicant plans to convert the living room in her home into a boutique, a small boutique. The applicant's mother is currently living in the house, and she and her niece will be in charge of the business. The house has approximately 4 parking spaces for customers and a 2-car garage for the owners. The land use pattern for this area consists of residential uses, although there is a church and a grandfathered flower shop south of this property. A public hearing was held on this request by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 7, 2014. During the public hearing, nobody showed up in opposition to this request. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the conditional use permit with a 6-0 vote.
Is there any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the commission?
Wanted, and I saw some of the comments on here regarding the conditional use and who's going to follow up on that, but I guess my biggest concern would be that if it were to change, if the nature of the business were to change, that would nullify the conditional
Exactly.
use permit. Are they
Exactly.
aware of that?
Yes, they are aware. It's just for a boutique, and they're aware that if the business causes problems, that the city has a right to pull the conditional use permit. So it's contingent on everything working peacefully in the neighborhood.
Comments? If not, I'd like to go ahead and close this public hearing at 6:30. Is there a motion for approval? Is there a second?
Second.
Who seconded that? Commissioner Suarez, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And then finally, D, hold a public hearing and consider ordinance for a special use permit for the sale and on-premise consumption of alcoholic beverages of Rosa's Restaurant, legally described as Lot 6 and 7, Block 34, San Juan Original Townsite Subdivision, located at 120 East 6th Street, as requested by Joe Hetler. Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, Mr. Hetler is requesting a special use permit for the sale and on-premise consumption of alcoholic beverages at the proposed Rosa's Restaurant. The proposed restaurant will open where Bugambilia's restaurant used to be. The proposed days and hours of operation for the sale of alcoholic beverages is Thursday through Sunday from 7 p.m. until midnight. He is proposing to have live music and dancing on those days. A public hearing was held on this request by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 7, 2014. During the public hearing, some surrounding property owners expressed concern that the restaurant will become a pub at night, disrupting the peace of the neighborhood. During their August 7 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval with a 6-0 vote of the special use permit, but contingent on not having any music or dancing at the venue.
I'd like to open this to the public at 6:31. Any comments for or against from the public? If you have a comment, please come forward and state your name and your comments, please.
Carver. I'm against the serving of alcoholic beverages for the reasons that I stated previously. Not many people are going to be eating their supper between 7 and midnight, so serving alcohol with supper is probably not something that's going to be happening very often. Those hours would probably be just for drinking, and we're just against it. Like I said, there's an AA meeting across the street, there's a church across the street, there's a family neighborhood right across the street, there's 2 children's daycares. You know, a restaurant would be great, but we're against the serving of alcoholic beverages. Thank you.
Humberto Hernandez again. I'm opposed for the sell the alcohol beverages at the restaurant at any time, because we have already 2 blocks from us is a liquor store. It's bad enough. And next door to us is the 2 offices stay full with the Alcoholics Anonymous. So I think this is bad enough already to give my approval to anybody go ahead and sell alcohol. So I'm against that very much. I like for San Juan to prosper on business, and I'm all for it. But if we're going to miss alcohol in high hours in the night, well, probably it's dangerous. If it's with a meal, maybe so, but that's what I have to say.
Let me ask you a question. if you
Yes, ma'am.
may. What are the hours of the services at your church? You're right across the street, is that what you're saying? What are the hours of your?
Sunday from 10 o'clock,
That's AM, right?
and then we're going to 8 about 8 p.m., and on Wednesdays. Yeah, 7 o'clock. And we have a get-together as a church once a month, and we have different activities there. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, absolutely. Sorry for the problem.
State your
But
name for the record.
my name is Joe Hetler, and I'm the proposed owner of the property. It was mainly when we came to get the building permit, they asked, did you want to serve liquor or beverages? And says, well, I personally don't drink. But this was intended to be for seniors and for the winter Texans type deal. It wasn't intended to be a bar type atmosphere or anything like that. If the citizens are opposed to it, that's fine with me, you know. I just wanted to have a family type atmosphere where you could take your kids and stuff, and you might be drinking a beer, or it was mainly, I didn't even want alcohol, I'd request alcohol, but they said it's going to cost you the same thing. I said, okay, well, put alcohol then. And so I paid my $200. If I wouldn't have paid $200 if I know it was going to be a problem. But whatever you all desire, we want to be good neighbors to all these people and whatnot. And we hope they have a good appetite rather than a thirsty appetite.
Well, just to clarify, do you
Yes.
want to continue for us to consider the license or
Ma'am,
not? That's your decision.
Yeah, if what I was trying to do was to satisfy the winter Texan or senior citizen type of market. I personally go every Sunday to Riverside to go dance and have a good time. I used to go to Pepe's before it flooded and everything, and it was a lot of fun, you know. But you see a lot of 68-year-old people like me. There's not many young people.
Mr. Hedder, may I just, if you were to get a beer license, would you still open the restaurant?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you know, the way it was presented to me was, hey, you're gonna do this? And I said, yeah, we'll do it, you know. At the very beginning, we weren't even gonna offer it, you know. But if we proceeded and the people asked for it, we were going to have already the permit to do it, you know. That's the only reason that we went ahead and paid the fees for doing that.
I'm glad that they inform you, but in no way, I'm sure that they were telling you that you should.
No, I'm not.
So I just want to clarify that we don't promote that you need to open a business with drinking.
No.
Um,
She was just happy it was going to be a restaurant.
I think we are too.
Montes, did the previous restaurant, Bugambiles, and I don't recall, but did they serve alcohol? Okay. And I know that was actually a really good restaurant too.
But we hope that if I can finally get negotiations done with my partner, who actually does the cooking and all that kind of stuff, I take care of the business side of it. I don't take care of the fixing of the food side of it. Okay, but we appreciate the fact that we're going to be here. Okay.
The fact that you're looking to occupy that place and bring your food. All right, any other comments from the public?
7th Street. Mine's more of a question than it is a comment. Is there going to be loud music with this? Because we have that music place right behind where we live, and back walls just vibrate all the time. I don't want to be hit from the back and the side at the same time. That would just like literally put me over the edge. So that's my question. Is there going to be loud music that's going to be vibrating off of everything?
It appears that the way that it's being presented to us, it was not approved by the planning and zoning. So when it was referred to us, it was referred with the condition that there would be no music.
That was my
They might
only
dance without
concern.
music, but no music is how they're presenting it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member of the community? The commission? All righty then. With that being said, is there a motion for approval as presented by the, by staff and the planning and zoning?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the special use permit. Respectfully, Mr. Hedler, we still want you to open your restaurant, but I do make a motion to deny the special use permit.
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion denied.
And Mr. Hedler, as soon as you open, I'll be there. Thank you.
I didn't close that. That's,
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And much luck to you.
thank you. I close that at 6:40. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. Under bids and contracts, A, consider rejecting bid number 14-28-08-20 for lift station number 1 repair project. Ms. Gonzalez or Ronnie? Mr. Cruz? Oh, no, you don't have anything to do with this. Sorry.
Good afternoon, Mayor and
Good
Commissioners.
afternoon.
The city went out for bids on this repair project for the lift station number 1. We received one bid from Diamondback. After much thought on this project, the director and his staff put a dollar amount to it and figured that it would cost the city around $63,000 to repair the lift station. So they reevaluated the project and found that if they reduce the scope of the work, they could perform the work in-house. And that would reduce the cost at least 30 to 40%, which will allow the vendor to focus on the work inside the below-ground wet well pump, sump structure. So staff is recommending that we reject the bid.
Any questions? If not, is there a motion for approval? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Approved for the rejection of bid 14-28-08-20. B, consider rejecting bid number 14-23-0-20 and authorizing the interim city manager to re-advertise the sealed bids for the purchase of coal. Ms. Gonzalez.
The city, this is a routine bid. We do this bid every 3 years. The city purchases approximately 365 tons of coal mix at $85 a ton, averaging approximately $31,000 a year, or fiscal year. The contract for the coal mix expires this September 30th. Staff did go out for bid and received one bid from CPA, which was DBA Magic Valley Concrete. Staff is recommending that we reject the bid, re-advertise, so that we can make this bid more competitive as possible.
Go ahead.
Frontera Materiales. Frontera Materiales. No, my understanding was that they totally forgot about the bid, and I called them to find out why they did it, and they're just, right. Yes.
Questions? If not, is there a motion for approval as presented? Is there a second? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, consider awarding bid number 14-24-08-20 for the purchase of lubricants to Holland Oil Company of Westlaco Texas, in the amount of $28,654. Ms. Gonzalez.
This is another routine bid. It's going on its, oh, it has gone on its third year. We received 2 bids on August 20th, one from Holland Oil and the other from Schmitz and Sons. The current vendors that we have are Holland Oil and Schmitz. It's a split lubricant contract, and that's the way I bid it out. But this time around, Holland Oil came in with a bid of 34,700, no, I'm sorry, 28,654, which is at least a little bit over Smith and Sons, under $5,000. So instead of splitting the contract this coming fiscal year, staff is recommending that we approve the bid just to Holland Oil, to give the contract just to Holland Oil.
Questions? If not, is there a motion for approval presented? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Item D, discussion on proposed changes to the zoning ordinance as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, the City of San Juan zoning ordinance was initially adopted in 1980. Although a few minor revisions have been made over the years, a complete update has not been done since the ordinance creation. The Planning and Zoning Commission held several workshops in 2013 to review and update the document and is recommending several changes and additions. Some of the major revisions include the following. It will create a new office, also townhouse and duplex, fourplex zoning districts with regulations. It will also allow metal carports within the front setback in residential subdivisions recorded before 1990. Also, it will allow 10% per year remodelings and upgrades to legal non-conforming structures, and it will prohibit fences of any kind within the front yard in subdivisions or street blocks that have no such fences. In the next page, you have a schedule that I'm proposing for the adoption of the ordinance, or if you want, we could schedule a workshop to go over the ordinance in more detail. I'm asking for authorization to proceed with the adoption of the ordinance. And the plan is to email everybody the ordinance tomorrow, including the attorney and the city manager, give you a chance to review it. I could put it on the agenda for the next meeting if you want to. And then there's a process. We have to have public hearings for the adoption. Public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission and a public hearing with you all.
Is that the one you've sent to us already?
Yes, last year, and I requested a workshop, and it was never scheduled, so we're just asking for permission to
I'd like a workshop.
Okay.
To discuss the ones that you have, your reasoning behind it, and maybe the possibilities of getting a few more through some of the things that have come up over the years, at least the past 3 years. So I'd like an opportunity to be able to sit down with those.
Okay, I guess I'll just get with city manager and work on scheduling a workshop. And it will be a workshop with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And we can probably, there's several workshops that, we've been requesting that haven't been set yet, and maybe they can be paired up to have a discussion with that, with, the police department and the TER zone. So maybe we can get something set up in
Okay.
conjunction. But that is my recommendation. I'd like to be able to have that discussion. Yeah, no action. But do follow up for our meeting, okay? Thank you, Mr. Cervantes.
We'll work on setting up a workshop.
Yes. Item E, consider impossible action to terminate the contract with Professional Services with Focus Advocacy LLC of Austin, Texas. This is something that I've been adamant about in this past, well, since the last contract that was made, and in the past meetings. I have been requesting one that, even when I was opposed to them being on, that once they were hired on, that one we would have a workshop with them to be able to discuss, because if you look at the contract, and the contract is provided, there's a series of services that they are to provide. First and above all, A, is direction by the client to represent the client in dealings with elected and appointed officials, legislative staff, interested stakeholders regarding projects identified by the client. We are the client. I don't remember us ever sitting with them to discuss the issues which we want. I know that there was not a legislative year the year before, or the time that we've had them, at least not this past year, and this coming year, I've not had the opportunity. I have requested repeatedly through the city managers to be able to talk with them or to have them come. And my last request was about a month ago, Chief. And did you follow up with that? Did you send that in writing? And did they respond to meet with us? When are they going to meet with us?
They're going to send me something in line, see when it's available, you're available, commission's available.
Now they're going to do it.
That's the last email I got from him.
And when was that?
It was on the 11th, August 11th. That he did send me an email contacting me saying that they can provide a report or they can be at contact at any time that we can, from them, we can contact them, see what we want, the city wants to.
And what reports have you gotten the past year?
I haven't received any.
I haven't received anything except what you provided to us.
Yes, that's all I received.
Okay. When Mr. Rodriguez was here, I requested the same thing. I requested to speak to them personally, and I never got a response. And I know the response, it was set out in writing. I requested when they were here that I wanted a report, at least quarterly. They've never come back quarterly. The other part is, and I've never discussed anything with them, have had the opportunity, and they had not responded. Now they're wanting to. Well, I'm saying that they have not provided the kind of services we contracted for them. Provided analysis of tracking the governmental actions. The first time that they had been on board, we would get an email once a week, maybe every 2 weeks. I don't even get that anymore. Maybe some of you do, I don't. And I requested Chief to look for that, and I think the last time that I requested was when they sent him that report, and that's been since the time that they were on and before their contract got renewed. Assistant Development Strategic of the Government Affairs and Goals, again, that hasn't happened. It hasn't happened before. It hasn't happened to us, not as a governing body. Maybe with some of you individually, but definitely not as a governing body, because no one can make a decision unilaterally as to what the platform is unless we've come together to discuss it for them to pursue. That hasn't occurred while I have been here. Consult with him for the effectiveness of relationship with elected officials. Consult with the client. I'm not sure who they've consulted with. Use the best efforts to provide information, educate the decision maker with regard to clients' interests in governmental affairs. Again, this past year, and since they've been here, since the renewal, I would say, not even this March, but the one before, I have not received a report other than the one the chief has sent to me. The monitor by the attendance at the meetings or otherwise of legislative regulated bodies, I don't know how they've reported that, or how that's been done, or how often that gets done. Monitor and track initiatives that impact the city's clients during the term of the agreements, which initiatives will be identified by the client or consultant as having an impact on us. Again, that came as a report just recently. Or J, consult with assisting and preparing city officials to testify. I don't think that's come up at this point. And so, you know, I have repeatedly requested, and it's not been provided. We pay them $6,000 a month. And I just think that we can use that money, $6,000 a month, $72,000 a year, I think is what it comes out to, or something around that area. Then that money can be better used for something else, be it some positions that we need, or be it considerations for the employees, for a bonus. But I know this is a legislative year, and that's what you're going to say, but they have not earned their keep. And I'm asking that under the clause that says that we can give them a termination after 30-day written notice, I'm asking that we terminate this contract with a 30-day written notice.
First of all, I think it's highly hypocritical of you to discuss giving the employees a bonus since you've always voted against bonuses and raises as well. So the fact that you even raise that, I think is highly hypocritical. I'll start with that. Additionally, I think that every time you say that you've made contact or try to make contact with them, you know, I communicate with both Snapper Carr and Gilbert Landa on a weekly basis. Snapper was on vacation last week in Utah and returned my phone call. I think that saving the city from catastrophic event. Had we had that power line run through our city, we would have lost a significant amount of land that would never be able to be used and would have caused lots of harm to our citizens. I think that you discredit that because it's to your own personal interest, because you've been against them from day one. When they were here last, they gave a report. We did give them direction unilaterally. We told them that we were looking for entrance into the overweight limit corridor, which was important. We also discussed roadway funding, which is still gravely important. If you were to read the reports, which they send weekly, and I understand you say you haven't received them until recently, city manager had not been receiving them because nobody notified them that JJ was no longer the city manager. And I had a conversation with Chief Gonzalez, and that's our mistake for not having made them aware of that. But as soon as we did, Chief started receiving those updates. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes, sir.
And
We receive
committee reports, which are important because right now, what the state legislature approved in the last session was a constitutional amendment that will be up for vote this November, which is Proposition 1, which will take $1.7 billion out of the rainy day fund and put them towards roadway projects. It is expected predicted by analysts and by Snapper Carr that the Rio Grande Valley should be receiving anywhere between $30 to $40 million of this money. One of the things that we want to make sure, because we have a lot of roadway need, is how we can begin to tap into those funds. I think that the other thing that we talked about here at this table, at this dais, was the fact that we wanted them to begin to pursue a new car sales tax, which they have been doing. In that process, Snapper was able to have me appointed to two TML legislative committees, one on transportation and the general legislative body of the TML, through which I've been able to get support from other cities around the state to pass or to introduce at the very least, and then support a bill that would allow for new car sales tax. Right now, what we're talking about is a 1% increase in new car sales tax. If we have the new car sales at $189 million, as have been reported, the 1% sales tax could bring $1.89 million of new revenue to the city of San Juan. That's not going to happen on its own. That's not just going to pop into legislation and get passed. Additionally, what we have to really come to grips with is that we live in a Republican state, and our delegation is an entire Democratic delegation. Because of that, it's increasingly more important for us to have someone that can help us reach out to the other side of the aisle and get support for a lot of the initiatives that we need to support the projects that we want to do in our city. And so I am opposed to canceling this contract, terminating this contract in any way, because I think as we move closer to January 2015, it's going to become ever more important for us to be represented in Austin by Focus Advocacy. And I just find it really hard to comprehend how you have not been able to communicate with them, and yet it's so easy for me to just pick up the phone, call, and send an email and get a response. It boggles my mind how you haven't been able to do that. But I do tell the commission, it is going to be increasingly important for us to be able to have representation in Austin. Every other community in Hidalgo County is represented in Austin, except now. And so because of that, I think it would be a very dangerous move to terminate our contract with status.
Any other comments? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Chief, on, during the time with Mr. J.J. Rodriguez as the city manager, is there any, like, reports or anything out there where we can, I can review and see what's going on and see, what kind of funding,
Lobbyists.
focused out, that was brought to the,
Commissioner, no, there's no report that I've seen. The only emails that I get is the House Committee reports from, I just started getting them this month with a,
but there's
recommendation.
nothing prior that you know of.
No, nothing prior that I know of.
But there is some available, because they presented here to this commission in the past.
Now, the,
Are you gonna just continue to allow those up?
I just heard it right now, okay?
What, but it's been-
All right, bring to your attention, I don't know who it was, keep your comments to yourself. You can make it at the next public hearing, next public comments. Did you want to say something?
Yes, I was reading it, and I too, I mean, I haven't received anything. I don't know if it's because of that reasoning that we're new. I'm sure, Mario, you haven't received anything either. But the 6,000, I was
Mr.
looking at it
Trevino?
as well.
No. You all need to be quiet. I will put both of you outside. Mr. Trevino, no more comments from any of you. You need to have a conversation. You all need to step outside.
The problem that I have is looking at the budget. I mean, I see these directors right here with us, and they're in need, and yet we're paying these 6,000 to somebody in Austin, which honestly, I don't know what they're doing for us, because I haven't received any information. I don't know what they do. Looking at the contract, even for us to get them in, we have to pay for them to come in, which I don't think we should be doing if we're already paying them the 6,000. And like I said, I know Ms. Cordero needs help, Ms. Cecine needs help. It's like, we need to invest this money. I'm sure the directors would like an increase. It's, I don't know, it's beyond my belief, I don't know. I need more information. If we can postpone it, I'd rather postpone it, get some more information, bring it back, because I don't have the information right now to make a good decision. That's what I feel. But if it's not to our benefit, I mean, I know these folks need help.
I mean, going back to the numbers and looking at the contract, I mean, put the pen to the paper. 7,500, 4 months, that's 30,000. And then 6,000 times 8 months, which is 48,000. So it's a total of $78,000 a year. That's something that I really need to look into. That's why I asked Chief Gonzalez over here in reference to, the reports. Is there, I mean, if there's something that's been done, it should be in our packet here. And I agree with Commissioner Ramirez in reference to this issue.
I'd like to make one follow-up comment. The Mayor Pro Tem talked about how instrumental in the blocking of those transformer lines or those lines that were coming through. We paid a lot of money to law firms, both here and in Austin. And I'd like to attribute what they did, and I would hope to attribute all the money that was spent and the thousands and thousands of dollars with attorneys, that's where we needed to have been. Because if you're telling me that they could have helped us without the attorneys, or that they were very instrumental, I would like to think that the attorneys, and had we paid, and the months that we paid, and the amounts that we paid would have been sufficient to have made an impact, because that was definitely not in the mix. And now, as far as the legislation that you talk about, speaking to Commissioner-elect Cantu, he mentioned that the item that you're talking about, and you did mention with the taxing of the new, that's already being proposed by, I don't know if Patrick is a representative or senator, a Republican, and that was already in the mix, and that's already being done, so it's not being initiated by them or by this community. What we should do is definitely support it, and that's a Republican who's pushing for that. And as far as hypocrite, because I talk about a raise or a bonus, I've always told you all that if we had the money that we could do it, to do it. When I have voted, it's because we had, and every time that we've done it, we've had to go back and do a budget amendment. If we don't do a budget amendment and we do and match what we did last year on a, for example, I think it was about 36,000, if I'm not mistaken, plus, that gave them a bonus, we could give them double that bonus if we get rid of these people, to give it back to the employees or to give it to position. It was about 36,000. Well, whatever that was, and it was about 36. And that's fine. It was a bonus to the people, that we don't have to give to people who are not working and give it to them. If I voted against because we didn't have the money, and you know that we went into a unbalanced budget in the red as not being, having to make up the difference because of the going into the unrestricted fund to make sure, to the tune of 400,000 last year. And so that's why I voted no. Not because not to do it, but because we don't have it. Now we've got an opportunity.
Voted no.
400,000. You're saying 75, now you're saying 400?
Because it wasn't the only thing, sir.
Okay, well then don't.
But it was part of it. But it was part of it.
I motion that we postpone this,
But it was all part of
this
it.
item for the next meeting.
I want to rebut as well, because again.
There's been a motion on the floor
And I
at
want
this time.
discussion.
Right, is there a second? Second. Okay, now discussion.
Again, your hypocrisy knows no boundary. As you come back here with attorney's fees, it's something that we pay thousands. You know what? We paid twice as much defending the city from frivolous lawsuits, and you had nothing to complain then. You made no comment about that. In fact, you supported
talking
these
about?
frivolous lawsuits. You supported them, but now, when it's not to your convenience politically and otherwise, now you're opposed to attorney's fees? And let me tell you, ma'am, the reason why we found out about this and the reason why we found a plan to fight it was because of Focus Advocacy, because of Snapper Carr. Now, the fact that they could not represent us, I mean, as an attorney, I think you understand that better than anyone, why Focus Advocacy could not represent us before the Utility Commission. And I think that that was made abundantly clear to you as well in your personal conversations at that time. And you say that you haven't communicated with them, when in fact you did communicate with them during that same time, during that same fight. You did communicate with them. So don't say that you haven't. Don't say that you haven't spoken to them. I think that what you do is you convolute all the facts so that you can sit here and spew your venom over this. And I think that, you know, I agree with you, Commissioner. Our directors definitely need the help, and I've always been the one to vote to get them that additional pay, to give them those additional things that they need, like employees and equipment, okay? But if we don't have representation in Austin, we're gonna be doomed to not have any additional funding to provide them what they need. And if we're able to get money from Austin to fix these streets, that's gonna free up more money for us to be able to give to our directors and to our staff. I think that it's really, really short-sighted for you to think that things are just gonna magically happen. And I was at the meeting, by the way, ma'am, with Senator Dan Patrick, who is the candidate for lieutenant governor, and he made no mention that he had proposed that bill. What he said was, there's talk in Austin of that bill being proposed, and that talk is coming from TML, where Snapper Carr is special counsel, and where we're pushing this through our legislative committees. So before you speak, please have your facts straight, okay?
I'll mention it.
It's incorrect.
I'll mention it to
And I'll be sure
Commissioner-elect.
And I'll be sure to mention it to him as well.
Please do.
I will see him first thing in the morning.
I'm sure you will. And you know, you always complain about personal attacks, and that's all you've been doing. You're not even
I
talking
always
about the
complain about
facts.
personal attacks
That's what
because
you
that's
always
what you
complain.
do.
That's what you're doing, sir.
So we're supposed to just sit here and let you attack us and not defend us?
Should I sit here and let you attack me?
You never do, and you
Should I
still
sit
have
here?
not. You never do.
So,
And then you allow that continuously.
there's been a motion,
You're gonna let it again.
there's been a motion to table, and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, passes. It will be tabled. Item F, consider authorizing the interim city manager to approve amendment number 1 to the city's Urban County Program 3-year cooperation agreement. Mr. Rodriguez, Bobby Rodriguez?
Mayor and Commissioners, good evening. We received, or Mayor Sanchez received a letter from HUD, not from HUD, excuse me, from Urban County. After review by HUD, there was some additions that they wanted to make. Therefore, it being an amendment to the agreement, the 3-year agreement that the City Council and the Urban County entered into. So tonight, I'm presenting that amendment. It's before you in your packet, Section 1, and it talks about the items there that they're going to amend.
That uniform throughout the county?
Yes, ma'am, and I think there was, my understanding from Mr. Barco, there was, I think it was five or six cities that had to do this amendment, and we were one of them.
Any questions? Not, is there a motion for approval? Is there a second? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G, consider authorizing the interim city manager to enter into a policing agreement between the FAR San Juan Alamo Independent School District and the City of San Juan. Chief Gonzalez.
Yes, Mayor Commissioner, this is a standard agreement that we have with the school district, and just a continuous agreement every year.
All right, any questions on that?
Chief, I notice here that there's funding, and it's the same amount as last year. Do we receive funding from any of the other schools, specifically IDEA, to provide traffic control?
No, Mayor Pretend, that's the only school district that we are having contract with on agreement is with the PSJ school district, not IDEA. We do provide services for IDEA, but on the department's expense for traffic control.
Have we ever, and I know that, I don't think I've ever asked, have we ever asked them to participate or to help offset the cost of providing that traffic?
They do on the IDEA on Standard and Nebraska. They do pay for off-duty security for 2 hours. But
There are police officers.
yes, that's our police officers. We're still doing that, right, Cap?
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion for approval? Is there a second?
Second.
Who second that, please? Commissioner Garza. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8, consent agenda. Approval of minutes of our August 12, 2014. B, monthly collection report, July 31st, 2014. And C, consider second and final reading of an ordinance for the rezoning request for a single-family residence district to general business district for the property legally described as lots 1 through 3, Aldamas subdivision, unit number 2, located on the northeast corner of Raul Longoria Road and Sally Avenues, requested by Francisco Delgado. I'd like to tender the corrections to City Secretary Bobby Rodriguez. Is there a motion for approval as presented?
Motion to approve as presented?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned at 7:12.